Earlier this year, I spent 3 months working as a digital nomad in Asia. And honestly, there are a few things I wish I knew before going on this journey, which could have saved me tons of time, money, and frustration. And the first is solo travel is overrated. So I didn't travel alone, but there definitely were days where I spent the day by myself or I explored somewhere by myself. And I have to say, at least for me, I think solo travel is a little bit overrated. Spending time by yourself is really valuable for having new ideas and self-reflection, and it's something that I think everyone should do. But I think in terms of traveling and doing new things and experiences, I much prefer doing them with somebody else. When I look back on those 3 months, the highlights were definitely experiences that I had with other people, like hanging out, meeting new people, or exploring a new place together. Shared experiences are super powerful because you can look back on them together with the person many, many years down the line. But the only problem with traveling as a digital nomad is that it's almost impossible to be productive. And that leads me to the second point, which is you can't lock in without a routine. If you're traveling every day, going from place to place, you just aren't going to be able to do any deep work. Subconsciously, I already knew how powerful routine was because that's really how I got anything done ever. But it was really only this period where I didn't have a routine that I realized how difficult it is to really build any momentum. Initially, when I set out to be a digital nomad, I didn't really know if my productivity would get a hit. And I figured that I can still keep up my normal daily routine no matter where I go. But once I was actually in a new environment, I realized how hard it is to build momentum when you don't have a very set routine. If you don't have a set place to work, you don't know where you're gonna eat for lunch, you don't know where you're gonna eat for dinner, then you waste so much mental energy and you lose so much momentum just trying to figure those things out. Like even just going to a coffee shop to work, you have to find a coffee shop, you have to find a spot in the coffee shop. The coffee shop can't be too loud, it can't be too distracting. And there's so many different distractions. I started to realize how valuable it is to have a productivity workstation and a daily routine. So whenever I went to a new Airbnb or hotel room, I always tried to build a mini workstation at the desk where it would be my sacred place to do work. And that really helped out a lot. Even the digital nomads who claim that they can work from anywhere and at any time, I would bet that they would still be way more productive if they had a set routine and a set place that they worked at every single day. If you're stuck in a rut and you aren't being productive, one of the most actionable things you can do is to set up a mini workstation and daily routine. The third lesson is the best plan is sometimes no plan. I think if you're into watching videos about productivity or self-improvement, then you probably are the type of person that would set goals and would plan things out very, very specifically. It's really easy when you're in a new place to have that sort of tendency to plan things out and try to figure out what you're gonna do and where you're gonna eat on any given day. But one thing that I learned is that the best plan is often no plan. And this is something that doesn't just apply to travel. So during that time, I came across this book called Why Greatness Cannot Be Planned. To summarize this book into one sentence, these scientists basically found that when you optimize for randomness, you tend to get better results than when you optimize for a specific goal. And I think that's generally true, not just for travel, but also in life. Like during this time, some of the best food that I had was just going into a store randomly that wasn't even on Google Maps. Even for this channel, the videos that have the most amount of views aren't the ones that I planned. And so I think this is a very powerful framework to think about. I think in terms of productivity, setting goals is still extremely practical and very useful. But now I have this new perspective where I also want to optimize for novelty and doing things even without a plan. The fourth lesson is less stuff makes you happier. Since I was going on a 3-month trip, I brought a 30-liter backpack, a big suitcase, and also a small suitcase. And over time, as I had to move around more and more, I started to resent having so much stuff. And I realized that having more stuff, it ties you down, it makes you less flexible, and sometimes it makes you more unhappy. Moving around, packing, unpacking, it really made me think about what are the things I really need to be happy. Really, all I need to be happy in the modern age is probably an internet connection, friends, and a gym. I ended up getting rid of a lot of stuff during the trip, and I even sent some suitcases back so I could travel with just one backpack. I still think I'm not going to become a minimalist and get rid of everything that I own, but I can sort of see the appeal and how much more mental clarity it gives you when you just have less stuff. If I was doing this again or just traveling in general, I think I would try to have as little stuff as possible and maybe just have one backpack. Traveling to most countries these days, you can pretty much get any essentials that you need over there. The fifth lesson is where you live dictates how you live. You've probably heard before that you are the average of the 5 people that you associate with the most, but whether you like it or not, you're also a product of the city and geography that you're in. Even just the geographical region and the weather can affect how people behave in a certain area. Like it affects the customs, the foods, how people dress, and what they do on a daily basis. Different environments create different types of jobs, it creates different types of thinking, and it creates different types of people. So where you live subconsciously, you're programming your brain to think about and focus on different things. There's a really great essay by Paul Graham where he talks about how every city sends a message to the people living there. And going from America back to Asia, I found that generally to be true. For example, in America, people want to hustle and grind, whereas when I went back to Tainan, which is the countryside in Taiwan, people were more concerned about hanging out and what they wanted to eat for the next meal. And I realized that life really does move at a slower pace depending on where you live. So one of the best ways to change your life immediately is to really just change your environment. Not just the people that you hang out with, but also where you are physically in the world. There is a reason why there are rankings for which cities are happier. This is way more obvious when you actually talk to locals because you'll see that people really think about and focus on different problems. A lot of times when people travel, they kind of just have this bingo card mentality where they hit different spots and they go there and then they just go back. But I think that really misses the whole point of travel, which is expanding and broadening your perspective. You can only really get that by talking to locals and seeing what's on their mind and how they see the things that you see. On one hand, it makes everything seem way more insignificant because everyone just has their own things that they think about. But on the other, it makes me think about what are the common things that matter universally. And that's really just family, friends, and health. If I were to do this again for a way better experience while saving a lot of time and money, I would definitely recommend slow travel, which leads me to the next point. Slow travel over everything else. Slow travel just means instead of going from place to place, you basically stay in one location for a month at a time. For me, one of the most memorable times of this whole experience was when I spent 6 weeks in the Japanese countryside in Shizuoka. I felt like I could really slow down and appreciate how daily life was in the countryside. I had the same restaurants I went to every day for lunch, and it was long enough that I could actually get a month-long gym membership. So this also led to me having a really good routine and being able to have conversations with people who recognize me going in there every day. And compare that to eventually when I went to Tokyo for 2 weeks, I more just felt like a tourist and had more of a generic experience. So if I were to plan this out again, even if I was just going on vacation for 2 weeks, I would definitely just prefer to stay in one place for the whole time. At least for me, when I'm in a place for a few days or a week. And so it becomes more of a vacation than it is being a productive digital nomad. If you plan on doing something like this in the future, I would also recommend going where it's less popular. You can get better deals and more memorable experiences. But no matter where you choose to go, or even if you don't go anywhere at all, there's one thing that really stays constant, which leads me to the last point. Wherever you go, there you are. The most valuable thing you can do, no matter where you go, is really just to be present in the situation. Even if you travel halfway across the world and go to a new country, you can't escape your own thoughts and feelings. Being a digital nomad doesn't help you find yourself if you're feeling lost. It just gives you new perspectives that you can reflect on. Anything that you're dealing with, you still have to confront and you still have to work through by yourself. That's why I talk about journaling so much on this channel. It's one of the most efficient ways to reflect and examine yourself. Going through my journals, I can see all the difficult things that I went through, all the experiences I had, and everything that I did. But there is a common denominator to everything, and that's the essence of who I am. No matter where you go, you can't escape your own problems. And so the best thing they can do is to live in the present and reflect on them. But despite the downsides or decreased productivity of being a digital nomad, overall, it's still an amazing thing that you should definitely try if you have the opportunity or freedom to. And it's actually inspired me to really consider whether or not I want to continue living in the States. But if you do consider doing something like this, I definitely would recommend that you journal and write down your thoughts. If you want to journal with the same system that I do, you can check out the Life Tracker System website in the link below, and it's on sale for 50% off until the end of this month. I'll see you over there. Let's get it.